you a magic trick? Well, after you have to shut your eyes then. Sorry, I had that up my sleeve. That was mean. That was a mean magic trick. The trick I'd actually like to do today is I'd like to talk about dragons, and I'd like to talk about words. I'd like to use the words to hunt for dragons. So hopefully, that's my, I was going to say that's my plan, but after the earlier talk, I'll say that's my dream. So that's my dream. So I wrote you a story, and I'm going to tell it to you. Stories are moments of opportunity. Places are stories. This room is a great story. It tells a great story about the past and the present and the potential for the future. Stories are a chance for a storyteller to share something with an audience. But they also can turn around and give the audience a chance to become the teller. When you leave this room, you have the option to take all the talks you've heard today and share them with other people. Our words have an amazing power, and stories can help us channel this power for good and for not so good. Today, I'm going to tell you a story about my name, a story about dragons, and a story about hunting. I didn't bring a gun, even though I'm from Chicago. There's 3 seems like a magic number, so name, dragon, hunting. And we'll have 3 stories explain 3 things. Things that have happened, things that are happening, and things that might happen next. So a little bit past, present, and future. My first story is about my name. You probably saw my name on the TEDx program, and it serves as a placeholder. The introduction similarly serves as an explanation for what you're going to see. You see me. My name is Amanda. Someone told me that that's Latin for worthy of love. So I guess you better love this story. Guys, the book says pause for laughter. You got to help me out. That's something that has happened. My name has a linguistic Latin legacy. But the real story is that I'm named for my dad's Aunt Amanda, Tonamunda, his great Aunt Amanda. She had dentures, and she smoked a cigar, and she told really great stories, and she was like a totally crazy old lady. So, I don't have dentures, and you're not allowed to smoke cigars on campus, but I can tell you stories. That's something that's happening right now. You're a part of the story. I hope you like being a part of the story. My last name is Murphyao. That's quite a story. It's a little bit tricky to pronounce for some people, but you did a great job. My last name is what happens when you take a Murphy and a Yao and you have a pirate and ninja wedding in a French-Canadian church on the south side of Chicago, and then you mash the last names together. The Social Security Department does not like it when you do that. They have a heck of a time with the name change. On the one hand, it's just a conversation starter. It gets people to ask, how do you say your name, and what does it mean? On the other hand, it's my sort of like thorn in the side of patriarchy and heteronormative society. On the other hand, it just makes me really easy to find on Google, because I'm the only one. But something that might happen next is, sure, I'll be really easy to find on Google, be really impossible to hide on Google, but it could get people thinking about their own last names and the meaning of naming. That's something that I'd like to see happen. But enough about me. Let's talk about dragons. Once upon a time, say in a field somewhere, there's a knight in shining armor, riding around on his horse, holding a lance up in the sky, and it starts to rain, as it sometimes does in Sitka. And then it starts to rain a little bit more, and then there's some thunder, and then there's some lightning, and then the inevitable happens, which is if you're riding around in a tin can on top of a horse, holding a lance in the sky, and there's lightning, I'll let you fill in the dots. So the next day, your buddies are looking for you because you, not surprisingly, didn't show up at the castle, and they find your charred corpse in the middle of a field. And they're like, whoa, he must have encountered a fire-breathing dragon. It makes perfect sense. Of course, now, thank you, Ben Franklin, we have the word electricity to explain what happened. But I digress. Let's put that as the past. Dragons were used as this placeholder, an explanation for something we didn't understand yet, which we now understand as electricity. That page is blank. That's very helpful. In the 16th century, something called the Lenox globe was made. It's a tiny thing in the New York City Public Library, On the map, there's a piece that says, "Here be dragons." It's just to the east of Asia. It's actually kind of where we are now. And of course, skip North America, South America, back to Europe. So it's just this one spot on the map that says, "Here be dragons." It's quite curious, and it's an interesting notion that this was also used as a placeholder on maps. So placeholder for electricity, but also placeholder for what was going to be filled in. At the same time that the Lenox globe was made, this guy named Martin Waldseemüller, sorry if I'm mispronouncing his last name, I feel his pain though, he made a map in 1507 that you can find in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. Well, you can't see the original, but you can see a copy. His is the first map to say America on it, and it's just to the west of Europe. So there's this interesting moment where dragons and America coexist on a map, and they're both theories at this point. Well, Christopher Columbus was like, "I'm in the Indies." So America's a theory, and the dragons are a theory. And America has won out. So that's something that's happening right now. On maps today, we have America. We're not the United States of Dragonland, but man, that would be cool. Sorry, I'm ad-libbing a little. Insofar as dragons are an explanation to a question we haven't even asked yet, they're still all around us. Without the benefit of hindsight, we don't even know what we don't even know. We don't have words for the ideas that we don't have questions for, that we haven't questioned yet. So, if you don't know about electricity, dragons are a totally reasonable assumption. If you don't know about America, dragons are a totally reasonable assumption. But if you do know about electricity and you do know about America, then what's next? What's the next question you're going to ask? Science has stories about electricity that we accept today, but the explanation isn't complete. Scientific discovery is the unending pursuit of further knowledge. I don't want to say that scientists are chasing a dragon, but I mean, some of them are. That means that, you know what, look it up. On modern maps, we don't have dragons per se, but we have names, we have labels, we have cities and countries and continents and lines. All of these things are an explanation for what's over there, just like "Here be dragons" was an explanation for what's over there. But America is just as arbitrary as the word dragon, isn't it? But the only way to find out is to keep asking questions. So that's the potential for this room. We can go hunting for dragons. We can root out ignorance, and we can seek truth with a capital T. We can help each other find the dragons in our midst. I'm from Chicago, like Barbara, Molly's grumpy friend. And I often teach in Canada. I like to ask my students where they think I'm from, because I'm sort of hard to place. They usually figure out that I'm from the States pretty quickly. And then last year, they guessed that I was from North Dakota. And then they guessed that I was from Ohio. And I was like, "No, but you guys are close. I'm from right in between." And so their next guess was Maine. For those of you who didn't laugh, North Dakota, Ohio, Maine. So, my first instinct was to think, wow, what a great opportunity for me to enlighten them. You know, the first dragon that I saw was their geographical ignorance. But the other dragon in the room was my assumption that 8th graders in Canada needed to know where the states, we needed to know American geography. So this was an opportunity. We had a great conversation about assumptions and about geography and about the need to know your place in the world and the need to understand names. And it was an opportunity that wouldn't have happened if they had guessed correctly or if we hadn't played that game. So that exchange allowed all of us to slay some of the dragons in our midst. It gave us an opportunity to ask what's going on, an opportunity we wouldn't usually have. The dragons are not easy to find, but these types of conversations, and with curiosity, we can try. Asking questions, hunting dragons, telling stories, gives us the opportunity to see the world differently, even if just a little differently. So, you can see the dragons, you could see dragons and other names as placeholders for past ignorance, or you can see them as opportunities, the potential for the future, something you can do something about. Dragons give us the opportunity to learn and grow and slay our ignorance, as it were, to see clearly. This is really convenient because if you look in the Oxford English Dictionary, you find out that dragon is actually derived, the word dragon is actually derived from a Greek word that means to see clearly. So you can remember that dragons will help us see clearly. But you shouldn't take my words for it. You should go find out yourself. There's a saying, we should follow those who seek the truth, but be wary of those who claim they've found it. I hope you've enjoyed these stories all day and other stories that you've heard. But the real test of everything that we've told you today is what you choose to do with the stories. Thank you for your time and happy hunting.